Life has a cruel way of piling misfortune upon misfortune, and for Inna, it felt like the universe had conspired to strip her of everything she held dear. The divorce from Vitalik wasn't just the end of a marriage, it was the collapse of her entire world. She sat alone in her dimly lit apartment, staring at the cracks on the ceiling as if they mirrored the fractures in her soul. Vitalik had left her for another woman, one who could give him what Inna couldn't, a son. The words echoed in her mind like a haunting mantra. You failed him. You failed yourself. Her mother's voice only amplified the torment, accusing her of not trying hard enough, of being too weak to fight for her marriage, or find alternative solutions like adoption or fertility treatments. But how could she explain to her mother, or even to herself, that no amount of effort could change biology? That after years of tests, medications, and shattered hopes, the dream of having a child with Vitalik remained an impossible mirage. And now, as if betrayal and heartbreak weren't enough, Anna found herself drowning in practical despair. She had lost her job months ago, and without any income, she struggled to keep up with bills while living in a crumbling building where falling tiles threatened to crush her son, Misha, every time he walked outside. The landlord blamed the developer, Melnick, but Melnick didn't care about people like her, people trapped in lives spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, Vika tried to hold on to sanity by pouring all her energy into running her cafe, though financial troubles loomed over her like storm clouds ready to burst. Every day was a battle against creditors and rising costs, yet she refused to give up. Hiring Maxim as a security guard seemed like a desperate gamble. He looked more like someone who belonged in a construction yard than guarding a chic little coffee shop. But Vika needed help, even if she didn't fully trust him. His quiet demeanor and mysterious past made her uneasy, but what choice did she have? Katia, ever the optimist, insisted that modern technology could solve their problems. Download the Love app, she urged, claiming it would lead them to happiness. Yet when Katia went on her own date arranged through the app, she narrowly escaped disaster. The man turned out to be a con artist, charming at first, but quickly revealing his true intentions to swindle her out of money. Shaken but determined not to lose faith entirely, Katia returned home wondering whether love could truly survive in such a chaotic world. Inna's world felt like it was crumbling faster than the walls of her apartment. Vitalik's offered to leave her the apartment in exchange for not claiming a share of his company seemed like a lifeline at first, but the reality hit hard when she discovered that the building was a ticking time bomb. The contractor, Melnick, had cut corners so severely that structural integrity was virtually non-existent. Then came the incident that sent chills down her spine. A brick fell from the second story, entrance just moments after Misha walked by. Her heart stopped as she imagined the worst-case scenario. Her son crushed under debris while she stood powerless to protect him. Every creak and groan of the aging structure now echoed ominously in her mind, keeping her awake at night. Meanwhile, Alenka's decision to marry Roman after barely a year of knowing him only deepened in a sense of helplessness. It wasn't just the speed of their engagement, it was the fact that Alenka announced they'd be moving to Toronto immediately after the wedding. "Mom," Alenka said brightly, "we'll have an apartment there. Isn't that amazing?" But Inna couldn't muster excitement. All she could think about was losing control over her daughter's future. The breaking point came during the ceremony itself. As Alenka walked down the aisle, glowing with happiness, she casually mentioned inviting her biological father, someone Inna hadn't spoken of in years. The room froze as whispers rippled through the guests. For Inna, this unexpected move felt like betrayal. She clenched her fists, forcing a smile through tears, wondering how Alenka could spring such a revelation on her without warning. Amidst these personal storms, Vika found herself facing her own ghosts when Sergei suddenly reappeared at the wedding. Dressed sharply and carrying flowers, he approached her with a confident grin. "Vika," he began, "I've made mistakes, but I want us to try again." His words hung in the air like a storm cloud, suffocating rather than comforting. Vika felt cornered, as if her attempt to rebuild her life independently was being undermined by his presence. "You left me for your career," she snapped back, her voice trembling with anger and hurt. "And now you think you can waltz back into my life?" "No, Sergei. Some bridges are burned for good." Katia, ever the optimist, tried to lift Ina's spirits by encouraging her to use the Love app. "It's perfect for starting fresh," Katia insisted. Reluctantly, Ina downloaded the app, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd find someone who could fill the void left by Vitalik. Instead, what followed was a barrage of obscene messages and relentless harassment. One user even threatened her, sending explicit images alongside vulgar comments. Ina deleted the app within days, feeling more defeated than ever. How can people treat each other like this? She sobbed to Vika one evening, "If this is what modern love looks like, I don't want any part of it." As the days passed, the weight of their struggles pressed heavily on everyone. Ina grappled with fear for Misha's safety, guilt over Alenka's choices, and despair over her failed attempts to start anew. Vika wrestled with unresolved feelings toward Sergei while trying to maintain her independence. And Katia, though outwardly cheerful, couldn't ignore the cracks forming beneath the surface of her own optimism. Together, they were navigating a labyrinth of pain, hope, and uncertainty, each step forward shadowed by the specter of past failures. The Love app, once hailed as a beacon of hope by Katia, quickly revealed its darker side. One evening, dressed in her finest outfit and brimming with cautious optimism, Katia met the man she'd been chatting with, a suave stranger who oozed charm. He spoke eloquently about his tech startup and promised her an opportunity to invest in something life-changing. But beneath his polished exterior lay a wolf in sheep's clothing. As they sipped coffee at a trendy cafe, he subtly steered the conversation toward finances, suggesting that Katia could double her investment within weeks if she trusted him. Her instincts screamed warnings, but before she could act, Vika intervened, having recognized the classic signs of a scam artist from overhearing their conversation. With sharp words and unyielding determination, Vika exposed the man for what he truly was, a conman preying on vulnerable women. Katia left shaken but grateful, vowing never to trust another profile blindly again. Meanwhile, Vika herself became embroiled in her own absurd misadventure thanks to the same app. Late one night, while closing up the cafe, she received a message intended for someone else, a flirtatious invitation to meet at a corner cafe in 15 minutes. Confused and amused, she replied only to find herself caught in a bizarre misunderstanding with a stranger who insisted she had initiated contact. The situation escalated when the man's wife arrived, accusing Vika of attempting to seduce her husband. Though Vika managed to diffuse the tension with humor and logic, the incident left her more convinced than ever that online dating wasn't worth the trouble. Amidst these chaotic encounters, Maxim proved himself indispensable not just as a security guard, but as a protector and confidant. When Ina tearfully recounted how Melnik, the corrupt contractor responsible for the crumbling building where Misha nearly got crushed by falling bricks, had threatened her after she filed complaints, Maxim listened intently. Having revealed his own past, that he'd worked in construction until exposing a major corruption scandal cost him his job, he understood firsthand the risks Ina faced. "You don't fight alone," he assured her firmly. His resolve deepened when disaster struck the cafe one stormy night. Masked intruders burst in, demanding cash from the register. Without hesitation, Maxim stepped forward, using both wit and strength to subdue them until police arrived. Vika watched in awe, realizing there was far more to this quiet man than met the eye. But the danger didn't end there. Determined to hold Melnick accountable, Anna launched a campaign to expose his negligence. She gathered evidence, rallied neighbors, and even contacted local media. Yet every step forward brought new threats, anonymous calls warning her to back off. Ominous figures lurking near her apartment. Despite her fear, she refused to surrender, driven by maternal instinct to protect Misha and others living under the same roof. Her courage inspired those around her, though it also heightened tensions among the group. Would justice prevail, or would Melnick silence her permanently? As for Inna, despite receiving encouraging messages from seemingly earnest men on the app, skepticism clouded her judgment. Each polite greeting felt like a potential trap. Each compliment carried undertones of manipulation. Was anyone genuinely interested in her, or were they all opportunists hiding behind digital facades? The emotional toll weighed heavily on her already fragile state, leaving her torn between hope and despair. The bond between mother and daughter is both a source of strength and vulnerability, as Inna painfully discovered when Alenka announced her whirlwind engagement to Romo. The news hit like a sledgehammer, not only because Alenka was leaving for Toronto, but also because she revealed details about her relationship that Inna had no idea existed. "He's been helping me plan our future," Alenka casually mentioned one evening, her voice filled with excitement. But for Inna, it felt like betrayal wrapped in innocence. How could her own flesh and blood keep secrets from her? She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but instead, she swallowed her pain, hiding behind a fragile smile, while tears threatened to spill over. Her mind raced with questions. Had Ramon pressured Alenka into rushing the wedding? Was he truly the man he claimed to be? As the days passed, Inna wrestled with conflicting emotions. On one hand, she longed to protect her daughter, to shield her from potential heartbreak. On the other, she realized she couldn't control every aspect of Alenka's life anymore. Late at night, after Misha fell asleep, Inna sat alone in the dim glow of her kitchen light, staring at old photos of Alenka as a child. Those memories were bittersweet reminders of how quickly time slips away. For years, her entire existence revolved around being a mother raising Alenka, supporting her dreams, sacrificing pieces of herself along the way. Now, faced with the reality of Alenka's independence, and a question whether she still had a purpose. It wasn't until Vika gently reminded her, "You raised an amazing woman who can stand on her own 2 feet," that Inna began to accept the inevitability of letting go. Meanwhile, Vika grappled with her own demons. Sergei's sudden reappearance at Alenka's wedding stirred up unresolved feelings of anger and resentment. When he cornered her during the reception, insisting they should try again, Vika felt suffocated by his audacity. "Do you really think you deserve a second chance?" She snapped, her voice trembling with emotion. For so long, she'd allowed Sergei to undermine her confidence, convincing herself she needed him to survive. But now, running her cafe and managing the chaos of daily life without him, she finally understood her worth. She didn't need his validation or anyone else's to feel whole. Katia, ever the optimist, tried to rally Inna and Vika with tales of hope from the love app. Yet, even she couldn't ignore the mounting evidence against its promises. After narrowly avoiding disaster with a scammer disguised as a tech entrepreneur, Katia admitted defeat. "Maybe not everyone online is looking for real love," she confessed, her usual cheerfulness tinged with disappointment. As for Inna, each message she received felt like another reminder of her loneliness. Some men sent vulgar comments, others ghosted her after initial conversations, and a few seemed too good to be true. One evening, overwhelmed by frustration, she deleted the app entirely. "If this is what modern romance looks like," she muttered bitterly, "I'd rather stay single." Despite their struggles, the 3 women leaned on each other in ways they hadn't anticipated. Vika offered practical advice when Inna considered confronting Melnik about the crumbling building. Katia provided emotional support when Vika doubted her ability to run the cafe alone. And Inna, though hesitant at first, shared words of wisdom when Katia despaired over failed dates. Together, they proved that strength isn't always about standing tall, it's also about knowing when to ask for help. In the end, each woman found solace in different forms. Inna embraced the fact that Alenka was growing up, celebrating her achievements rather than mourning her departure. Vika stood firm in her decision to prioritize herself, refusing to let Sergei's presence disrupt her peace. And Katia, though disillusioned with technology, remained hopeful that love would find her in its own time. Their journeys intertwined, proving that even amidst hardship, there's beauty in resilience and power in unity. As the final chapter of their intertwined lives unfolded, uncertainty loomed over each woman like a storm cloud refusing to dissipate. For Inna, the wounds of betrayal ran deeper than just Vitalik's abandonment. They festered in the crumbling walls of her apartment building, threatening not only her safety but also Misha's future. Would she ever find peace or dare to hope for love again? Every night, as she tucked Misha into bed, she whispered promises she wasn't sure she could keep. We'll be okay. We have each other. Yet deep down, fear gnawed at her resolve. Could she truly rebuild her life after everything that had happened? The looming threat from Melnik and his corrupt network still lingered, casting shadows on her fragile attempts at moving forward. Vika, meanwhile, stood at a crossroads of her own making. Her cafe had become more than just a business, it was her sanctuary, her shield against a world that often felt too chaotic to navigate alone. But now, with Maxim's quiet presence growing stronger by the day, cracks began to form in her carefully constructed walls of independence. He wasn't pushy or demanding. Instead, he offered steady support without expecting anything in return. Still, Vika hesitated. Was it worth risking her hard-earned autonomy for something as unpredictable as love? Or would she remain steadfast in her decision to live life on her terms, even if it meant solitude? Olenka's journey to Toronto carried its own set of uncertainties. At first glance, her new life seemed perfect: a loving fiancé, a promising career awaiting Roman, and an apartment waiting to welcome them both. But beneath the surface lay questions that haunted even her brightest moments. What if Roman wasn't the man she believed him to be? What if adapting to a foreign country proved harder than she imagined? Late one evening, as she unpacked boxes filled with memories of home, tears streamed down her face. She missed her mother's warmth, her brother's laughter, and the familiarity of her old life. Had she made the right choice? Katia, ever the optimist, refused to let her faith in love die completely. Despite being duped by scammers and enduring countless awkward encounters through the app, she clung to the belief that true connection existed somewhere out there. There has to be someone real, she muttered to herself one rainy afternoon while scrolling through profiles. But doubt crept in with every swipe left. Was modern technology truly bridging hearts, or was it merely amplifying loneliness? As days turned into weeks, Katia wondered whether settling for companionship, any kind of companionship, was better than facing the void alone. The ties binding these women together were tested yet unbroken. They leaned on each other during moments of despair, sharing laughter and tears as they navigated their respective storms. Inna found solace in Katia's unwavering optimism, while Vika admired Inna's resilience despite overwhelming odds. And though Alenka was miles away, her occasional calls brought fleeting reminders of unity. Together, they embodied strength, not because they had all the answers, but because they chose to persevere despite the unknowns. Yet, the story ended not with resolution, but with lingering questions. Could Inna reclaim her happiness amidst chaos? Would Vika surrender to vulnerability, or would pride dictate her path? Could Olenka thrive in a foreign land, and would Katia finally stumble upon genuine love? Their futures remained unwritten, suspended between hope and heartache, a testament to the fragility and fortitude of the human spirit.